When I was young, I hated reading, like hated it so much. But after 200 books and more, I can say today confidently that I love reading. But what happened? And how did I get from a point where I hated it to a point where I really loved it? I kind of remember when I was in high school and teacher were arriving in this beginning of the year with a few books we had to read, and we had to read these because we had exam later. I think for me, reading very early in my life was associated with exams, tests at school that you had to do well. Actually, there's one time, yeah, my mom had to help me to pass this exam. That's kind of crazy. And not only that, but the books that I had to read were not necessarily interesting for me. So I didn't really have a good relationship to begin with reading and books. But I had one friend who really enjoyed reading. To me, it was so knowledgeable, knew a lot of stuff, and I just really wanted to be able to be like him and read and enjoy reading and have all this knowledge to share with people. And I guess in some ways I wanted to look smart probably. And at some point I told him like, "Oh, I wish I could just like to read like you and have this knowledge." And he just told me, "Well, you just have to pick a book and start reading, right?" But one day there's one book that been highly recommended to me. I joined some kind of organization back in the days. I wanted to make money. It was network marketing business. And there was this one book recommended, and this is, let me get it actually. Yeah, it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Honestly, this is the book that got me into reading. I like I really hated to read, but when I picked up this book, I think I was a bit intrigued by the title, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Like, I mean, what does that even mean? And like is this guy having two dads, and what's the difference between a rich dad and a poor dad? So I just started reading this book, and I think I read this book under a week. I was just hooked by the content, by the way it was written, and like this book is from Robert Kiyosaki. Robert is not a writer. Now, I guess nowadays he's pretty much better than he was, but even this was not a book written by a professional writer. I just enjoyed the way it was written. And this is probably one more reason why I was hooked by the book, because coming from a background where I didn't enjoy reading, that was easy for me, like easy language to read. And the topic, all everything, I was hooked. And this is the book that propelled the rest, and I never stopped reading since then. So, how do you go from hating reading to loving reading? Now, I can't guarantee that you're gonna fall in love with reading, and you gotta ask yourself, what is it you want in there? And do you really want to read? Like, what's the reason you want to start reading? If you want to start to cultivate the habit of reading, because reading is a habit you can implement in your life, you might need to start really small. Like maybe you will need to say, okay, today I'm going to read one page, only one page. Now, maybe you're like, one page, that's too easy. And that's the point. If you can sit down, open the book, and read one page, what's going to happen is you're going to either say, nice, I did it and I read one page. Now I'm going to do something else. And then you can cultivate this habit over time. Or what's going to happen is you're going to sit down, open the book, read one page, and you'll be like, well, since I'm here sitting down, I might as well just read another one and then another one. And next thing you know, maybe you've read 10 pages, 15 pages, a chapter. Building a habit like this, I highly recommend you set some time every single day, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, but something that is not too much for you. And then over time, you cultivate this habit. And it's possible to get from a point where you hate reading to a point you love reading. I mean, nowadays, I'm just a book nerd. I get into a library and I want to see all the books. I want to buy books. If I would have infinite cash, I would have all the books in the world. Maybe not all the books in the world, but I just really love this. But you want to build this habit until you're able to read, I guess, one chapter in one sitting. It could be difficult in the first place, but to make sure that it is more enjoyable to start reading, pick something that is in your taste, something that you might need to learn as well, something that is related to some interests of your. And what does it mean for me reading? Why it's so important and why I love it so much now is that it's for the little golden nugget I can get in books that can really just make everything clicks in my mind whenever I am searching for information, answer to understand complex problems about life, about behavior, about productivity, whatever is the subject. By reading these, I can just dig and find these nuggets. And when you find this, it is kind of addictive actually. So as you move forward every day with this reading habit, you'll get to a point where it'll be easier. Starting something new is asking your brain to make new neural pathway, and it's literally demanding energy. But as you do it every day, these neural pathway are just getting stronger and the energy is just flowing faster. It's just the same as brushing your teeth and driving a car and doing stuff that you don't have to think about anymore. So at some point, it'll become easier and you'll start liking it because sometimes we don't like something because it can be mentally painful. Like creating this neural pathway can be painful. Like the struggle you feel is the pain from creating these. But once this is created, it's just become natural and you start liking it until maybe you just really have a passion for reading. In order to make sure that you're going to succeed with this habit, you want to keep every distraction as low as possible. If you're in a relationship, if you have children, if you have your phone, you want to set some boundaries with these things. Maybe you want to close the door. You want to leave the phone in another room. Maybe you want to tell your spouse or your kids that you're going to be busy for the next 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Just by saying this, it's just create the space for you in which it's easier to stay focused on the book. If I had to start over, I would take some notes. You can also buy some sticky flag and underline and highlight what you're gonna read. You wanna also like, I know how you're gonna feel in the beginning. Maybe you want to treat these books as like it has to stay perfect, but you want to engage with the book. You want to have a conversation with the author. You want to challenge the author, even if you're not gonna see this. You want to challenge because you don't have to agree with everything that is said in the book. Not everything that you're gonna read is actually true because technology, evolution, innovation is happening in life, and well, what was true 50 years ago might not be true today. So you want to take some note, and then at the end of each chapter, take some time to make an action plan based on what you've read, if it's something you want to apply in your life. Otherwise, I would challenge you to maybe to ask yourself some question about what you've read, depending on what it is. If it's something that you don't really care to remember in the future or to use in any project, I mean, don't bother spending this time just for nothing either. Start with one page, and that's fine. It's already a victory, and you can be proud of yourself because you went from someone who hated reading to someone who read one page. And you don't have to tell your friend. I mean, just let me know in the comments if you started and you succeeded with this one page. But I'm not gonna tell anybody, right? So, I mean, pat yourself for this accomplishment, and from there, it's gonna be an amazing journey. Yeah, I guess good luck.